Mr. Scary Studios.
The Craftsman's Tools, submitted by Brent's Rage. The craftsman ran his hands over his hammer, bringing it high up in the air before bringing it down to strike the nail in the wood. He hit it 3 times and moved on to the next nail to finish his masterpiece. When he finished, he marveled at the box he had made. He took out his tape measure and ran it alongside of his creation, and sighed with relief as he saw that it was 84 inches long. "Perfect," he gasped, brandishing a bone saw. He stood over his crafting table and reached into the bag on top of it. He pulled as a human arm, still attached to the body, flopped out onto the table as he began to saw at the arm. His mouth curled into an eerie smile. He ran the tool back and forth across the flesh, going deeper and deeper until he heard the satisfying crunch of bone. He sawed effortlessly after he got through the bone, watching the arm fall free into the pool of blood on his table. He took the newly severed arm and tossed it into the box. His smile turned to a frown when he looked at the bag of bodies upon his table and back to the box. "Looks like I need to build another coffin." Inner Demons, submitted by Sarah_Norton. Our inner demons, sometimes our inner demons materialize in front of us. One of my coworkers went psychotic a while back. At least that is what I choose to believe. She kept telling me there was a demon following her around. It was a man who had lost his mind in hell after being forcefully made into one of Satan's girls. She showed me a drawing of his torture in hell, and what I saw disturbed me so much that I kept having nightmares for about a month. Afterwards, my coworker told me that the demon had developed a pathological hatred of women and was desperate to drag as many women to hell as he could. By dragging women to hell right after their deaths, he was granted a reprieve by the devil. She was next on his list. I told her that hell was just a made-up concept. There was no hell and brimstone, that demons were never truly human in the first place. She would not listen, which was surprising, because she had always been a staunch atheist. She played a bunch of recordings where some sort of supposedly demonic voice was threatening to drag her to hell right after her physical vessel was no more. That was the message. I thought it was amusing at first that she was just trolling everyone in the office. Her particular area of expertise made her virtually untouchable, which is a rare feat in this economy. It became apparent over time that she was taking her supposed possession seriously. Magic pills did not help, leaving psychiatrists baffled. As improbable as it sounds to me, the exorcism worked. The tortured soul from hell is gone, but the coworker is still unsure what to expect after death. Growing, submitted by Origa246. In the beginning, the agony was unbearable. The purple sludge that had somehow made its way into us swiftly filled our guts, causing them to grow in order to contain it. Our frail bodies began ripping in order to hold our steadily growing organs. We became bloated, unable to fit into our homes. Fat leaked through walls, touching and merging with our neighbors. Similarly, fatty bodies. Our appendages never stopped growing, continuing to join people from all over the world together. Eventually, we became used to the pain and accepted our new body. We engulfed the entire world, becoming a great ball of flesh floating among the stars. Then the sludge began to boil. We all screamed as the pain came back, and we stopped growing. Our body became cracked and crisped as the sludge cooked us from inside. We watched as greenery and life sprouted from our skin. We watched the strangely familiar creatures on top of us form a society. but they all are flawed. They do not accept each other as we have learnt to. We are going to enlighten them. We are going to inject their food with the boiling sludge inside of us. Soon, they will be like us. Dinner with Friends, submitted by Gretel's Wheats. Now that you were thinking about it, maybe it wasn't the best idea to take Victor up on dinner with him and his new buddies. Granted, he was your best friend, or at least he used to be until he got mixed up with that weird health club that opened up in town a few months ago. Then he started to grow his hair out, didn't shave, stopped showering often, and began eating some really funky things, stuff that made his breath smell really bad. You looked over at your other best friend, Lily, who looked just as uncomfortable as you did. You were thankful Victor invited her as well. She looked around the huge dinner table and raised her eyebrows at me, her nose crinkling. I nodded. Everything at the table smelled bad, like rotten meat or something. Victor sat beside me and shot me a grin. Looks like he hadn't brushed his teeth in a while, too. Dinner is ready. The man behind you shoved a plate of food in front of you. A large, raw, bleeding piece of meat stared back at you. The smell was terrible. You looked at Lily, who looked ready to vomit on her plate. You started to feel dread build in your stomach. What type of meat was this? Somehow you already knew the answer. A bell rang and everybody savagely ate their food. Blood and raw meat spattered everywhere. Lily looked at you and shrugged her shoulders. She cut a piece of it and ate it. She cut a piece off and ate it. After a second, she laughed. It's deer meat. You laughed, feeling relieved and ridiculous. Lily's smile widened as the deer's blood tickled out of her mouth. Doesn't taste like human meat at all.